Empire City. I want to say this is the continent that has Soliana. Heaven forbid, remembering that place, but it would be cool if Sega or Sonic Team put up a website saying where zones are in these continents, because this is meant to be all of Sonic's world, like Empire City, Spagonia, Holoska, all of that is all in it's in the same world as the world in like Sonic's 1, 2, 3, Shadow, 06, SA1, SA2, all of that. So it would be nice if they went out and said what areas are in which continents. It's not really necessary, but it would be pretty nice. Like, Scrap Brain Zone is in Holoska because why the hell not? Anyways though, we're in the Empire City hub, and now this is nothing too spectacular around here. There's really this stage this continent, I should say, is probably the shortest out of I want to say all of them really. Like I feel it has the least amount of stages, and let's see here. There's the night stage, that's one, and it has two day stages. And I don't know if that's like the shortest, the least amount of stages, but it's definitely very short compared to a lot of the other continents, because most of them have two night stages and 3 day levels. So like obviously it gets longer with add-on content, but with the game like standalone, it's probably one of the shortest continents in the game. Though I will say I really do enjoy Empire City. I don't want to spoil it too much, but I feel the night stage is what Rooftop Run Night should have been more of, like actually being platforming on rooftops, which is kind of what you see in this stage. So part of me feels like they should have switched the stages over, and like obviously keep these keep certain level. What was it? Keep in certain parts of the level, like the Big Ben part and whatnot. But I don't know. I feel this just fits better in Rooftop Run overall, because you're almost pretty much entirely gonna be platforming on the rooftops and whatnot. So yeah, because you didn't really do that a whole lot in Rooftop Run Night. Like I think you did it a couple of times in the Wii version, I believe, but I don't think you did it at all in this version. I could be wrong, I can't recall. But yeah, I'm not even sure about the DLC. I'm pretty sure at least one of the levels have you platform on rooftops, but I could be wrong. Right, is there nothing here? There's nothing there. Okay. I do like the platforming for the Werehog again. Like, even though it's pretty standard stuff, I don't think it's monotonous as people like to call it out for. Like, I never I never had the same outlook on the Werehog as like everyone else really. I said this too many times to count, but if you don't like the Werehog, fine. But it's definitely I don't think levels go on for too long, as everyone and their mother says. Like, it really depends on what, on how many collectibles you're trying to get through your trek through the stage, I guess, for lack of a better term. And it's probably going to take a while on your first go, but if you know what you're doing, and it doesn't take long to be able to figure out what you need to do, they really don't take that long to go through, I feel. It might be because of the fact that I went through the hot dog missions and I pretty much learned all these stages, like, really well at this point. So that could be something to do. That could have something to do with it. But even still, like, even when in my first playthrough for this game, I don't think these stages really overstayed their welcome at any point. Maybe with Eggman Land on my first go, but even then, I didn't think that stage really was as long as people made it out to be. That's one of the most overhated stages in gaming history. I've never understood the hate. Well, let me rephrase that. I understand why people think it's unfair. Like, it has unfair design, and the fact that there's no drop shadow for the werehog is stupid as all hell. I can agree with that, and it's also a huge difficulty spike in comparison to the rest of the game. I agree with that as well. However, I just don't think it's as hard of a stage as everyone makes it out to be. Granted, it's one of the hardest stages in Sonic, at least in the 3D games, but Sonic as a whole is really not a hard series to play, at least for the majority of the games. I haven't played all of them. Like, I still need to play Rush Adventure, and the advanced games, but for the most part, the Sonic series isn't really hard. At least for the main storylines. If you're going through the games for 100%, that's a different story entirely. But no, I just don't think Eggman Land is as bad as being the hardest stage in the history of Sonic. I feel stages like End of the World from 06 are far worse, because while Unleashed, Eggman Land is designed to be hard, it's not bullcrap hard like 06 is, because Unleashed is designed in a way that it's hard, but it's also fairly hard, with the exception of with the exception of the pipe room. That's the only part of Eggman Land I won't defend. But besides that, this game is designed in a way that is fairly hard. In a way, it's designed in a way that makes it so it's possible to go through, but it's also difficult enough to give you a challenge, you know? 06 was not hard. It was just it just gave you the illusion it was hard, because the game can play like absolute crap, and it had glitches up the rear end, and so many bugs that I can't be bothered to list off the top of my head. There are way too many glitches. Speaking of 06, I've been recording that for C's Brain. Yes, I'm doing that game again. At this point, I've gone through Sonic Story, and I don't think I went through it relatively quickly, but there were some really weird glitches I came across. One that really stood out to me was the one in the Egg Cerberus fight. Basically, I tried homing attack onto the tail, and for no reason, I randomly just flew up to space, and I just died. I have no idea why it did that, but it was a thing. So I decided to talk about it, I guess. And yeah, I don't know, I just feel that this game really doesn't deserve this much hate. It really is one of the most underrated Sonic games, in really, just in general, really. Like, I will understand Sonic Boom. I'll understand Shadow and 06. Like, 2 out of 3 of those games I can't stand. So, yeah. But with Unleashed, I don't know. I just feel like it's really, really overhated. It's gonna be hot, really tedious for me to do the Seas Brain. I can't talk. Seas Brain playthrough, because I feel like I'm the only one in the entire group that actually enjoys this game. I don't know, like Jesse doesn't like the Werehog. He finds that the stages take way too long to go through, as I mentioned. Quite a lot of people say. Chase, he doesn't like this game at all. I'm really not sure about Nick, because he hasn't really said much about the game, and he hasn't done a playthrough on it before, so I'm not really sure how he feels about Unleashed. I know how he feels about Eggman Land, but not the game as a whole. So that could be interesting, but I don't know. It's just gonna be it's kind of just gonna feel awkward to me, because I'm gonna be the only one that's gonna really be saying positive things. I feel. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens whenever we get to Unleashed in 10 years' time, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, I guess. Like, of course, I'm gonna explain the things I like about Unleashed, and see if I can counter any points that other guys make. We'll see. I really just... I really just don't... I don't agree with really any of the guys at Seas Brain when it comes to Unleashed. And if you've been following this entire LP, which if you've just came in now, I don't know why. Maybe you're just finding out how to beat Empire City. Like, maybe you're just finding a good way to get through Empire City Night. In which case, fair enough. But if you've been watching this entire LP up to this point, you'll know a lot of my feelings of this game. Like, I think it's really one of the most underrated Sonic games, like I said. It tried a lot of unique things. It put Sonic in the real world, but it didn't make it realistic like the previous games. So they put like a Pixar-like filter in these worlds, so the humans look like they belong in a Pixar film, which really suits Sonic, I feel. And the gameplay is fine. Like, it's a huge step up from 06. Like, you're going pretty fast in the day stages. The platforming needs work. Like, it doesn't feel it doesn't feel fluent enough when you're platforming. But it also still controls well enough that makes it well enough to make it playable. So there's that. And the Werehog, as much crap as people give the Werehog, I still think his gameplay is pretty solid for the most part, with the exception of not having a drop shadow in Eggman Land. It works. His gameplay is really solid. I never really had a big issue with him. Like, his attacks go out pretty fast. His moves don't really have delays. Like, you can keep... He's really fluent in his combat, I feel. It doesn't really feel like there's a point ever where I'm doing an attack and he takes like a second or two to respond to me. I've never really felt that has been an issue here. Maybe it has been for some people, but it's never happened to me really. So maybe I'm just lucky. Maybe I'm just not seeing the things other people are seeing. But I don't know. I just never really had an issue with the Werehog in general. Like the combat is unique. Well, I shouldn't say unique because this kind of gameplay style has been done before. But the combat, the combat gives you a lot of combos to work with, so you don't really have to use the same moves constantly. That's a different story with the Wii version, but at least the Wii version they tried to make the game interesting with the level design more. This version does a better job in balancing platforming and fighting overall, I feel, but I feel the Wii version had better ideas when it came to platforming. It just didn't execute them as well as it could have, because the controls for the Werehog in that version were really loose. So yeah. Right, I don't want to deal with these guys just yet because I jump in here and get up here. I want to say you can get the box and go over there with that, but that takes long, so I'm gonna go this way. I don't think there's anything else up here. Wait, what's this? Ooh, got the book. It's kind of weirded out that I didn't pick up when I was. It looked like I was grabbing onto it, but whatever. I guess these levels are kind of long, but I have too much fun with this game to really care. Like, if the game is fun enough to make it so you don't really care how long a level is, that's good design. That means the game designers are doing something right, and that's kind of what I feel about this game. Like, even with Eggman Land, I don't really care that it's long because I actually enjoy Eggman Land a lot. I really don't care what people say. A lot of this is probably going to be blasphemy to a lot of you, but yeah, I enjoy Eggman Land. It isn't my favourite stage in the game, but it's definitely up there. I don't really have a solid list of my favourite stages. Like, picking out favourites in general for me is a tough task in and of itself, so doing that would just be torture for me. But I will say, I really do like Eggman Land. It's a perfect final stage, has a perfect amount of difficulty, I feel, and it fits so well, because Eggman has been trying to build this thing for so many games now, and once you finally see it, it's worse than we thought. So it makes sense why it's considered one of the hardest stages in Sonic history. But yeah. If you guys enjoyed that long run, because that took up the entirety of Empire City. But yeah, we're coming up to the end now. We just have to take up one more Titan dude, and we should be done. But yeah, get a claw thing from that, and get Unleashed mode up. So you get double the amount of damage in, and get his health down, and yeah, same old strategy. 40,000 points. This was actually a really solid Empire City night, I have to say. I'm actually pretty impressed with my run here. Alright, let's grab some rings, shall we? I kind of feel like running in Unleashed mode is faster than dashing in Unleashed mode, because like, I feel that, I don't know, it could be the same speed, I'm not really sure, but either way though, you want to get that medal, because otherwise the results screen is just going to taunt you with that, because you're just going to be like, I want to get it, but I can't, you know? But yeah, I feel like I want to get the strength up a little bit. Almost. It's getting there. We want to get strength up pretty high for later in the game, because Eggman Land in particular has some really tough opponents, and the DLC stages really require you to be good with the combat and really be a super high level. So yeah. Okay, so I think we can just leave here now, and we should be able to go back to Shamar. Maybe Adabat will open up, but I don't really want to go there. until we finish up these locations. So